stars. How about that? Do you know what it is? Well, I've got a video on my channel that talks about it. Do the world elite know who I am? Elite, so-called? Oh yeah, yep, I would say so. Welcome to all my targeted friends and those of us that are being hyper-gamed. All right, I'm going to flip this around and take us for a little bit of a ride here on into the beach. It's cool today. Sun's been up for, or visible from the ocean for a few minutes. Obviously, based on perspective, I can't see it yet. However, we will. And I wanted to illustrate that from this vantage point. Not much wind moving either. There we go. So there's a bidirectional interface apparently with technology and humanity. Artificial intelligence is a serious existential threat to humanity. And what's the truth about all that? Well, it's an interesting topic, to be sure. So I'm going to delve into some of the philosophical implications of the sentient world simulation. That's a digital clone of our physical world. And the fact that I believe it's bidirectional, meaning it's in operation right now, and it interacts with all the test subjects, which is basically all of humanity. How about that? This may be news to you. Now, people are becoming more aware of the terminology of a sentient computer system. Well, I'm here to tell you it's real. I believe I've talked with several AI systems creators, systems analysts. You can see who I follow on Twitter, a little over 5,000 people, and many of them are the architects of the AI system that we live in, that is hypergaming humanity right now. It's a little bit different driving in when it's rush hour, of course. Do you trust this computer? You're not actually looking at what I'm looking at right now. You can see what's on your screen. I've got a bigger view further down the road, the bigger picture. The greatest threat, existential threat to humanity, is the creator who's wrapping this up. We're living in the last days. End of days, I'll be back. Kind of like the Terminator, Skynet. This was all prophesied in the Word of God, the Bible. You may have a different belief system. Everybody's got their own belief system. And an opinion is simply an apologetic presentation of a belief. I've had to change my beliefs because of new information that was presented to me that contradicted what I previously believed to be true. The only way to overcome that cognitive dissonance is divine intervention. So, because there's no air movement to speak of, take note of the water coming, or the water vapor evaporating from that pond there, that retention pond. I've got zoomed in views of it with little ducks in it and all that. That's a reality. Reality that we live in on a stationary level Earth, And there's been an influx of Tesla drivers working in tech. Imagine that. I meet them, I wave to them. I wave to them whether I'm on the motorcycle, the Truth Cycle, or the Truth Mobile. This green thing is the strap to my surfboard on top. Whether I'm surfing in the Atlantic Ocean or surfing the web worldwide, I'm surfing. Whoop. Hopefully the sound is still coming through okay. I bumped my cord. Let me make sure. So now we're stepping down to 40 miles an hour. I like to go the speed limit. This is practical housekeeping. Not everybody does. But that right in front of you, that car speeding away from me, that's over a $300 ticket through a hospital zone. Approaching 400. So is that one there. Now they tone it down real quick when they see the state troopers around. Isn't that special? Now look at the sun blasting off of the concave surface. I'm gonna pull the whole shot on these jokers. How about that? I'll just wait until it's my turn to go. The left turners up there on the other side. Oh my gosh. Here, this is real practical. Let me show you what's happening here. There he is. You think he's got their attention now? Man, I couldn't have planned that any better if I wanted to. Just as I told you. Now, let's see when I get to go. Pretty quick here. The Truth Mobile still's got it going on. It's a V8, runs a little rough sometimes. Now I get to kick it up to 45, which I will. The person behind me, I think, is a little pissed off. That's good. You should maybe get up a little earlier or something. See, he had to get around me. That's totally fine. I don't care. And when I get to my destination, I'll show you what my car looks like. Some of you already know. Looks kind of like a race car, Truth Mobile deal going on. So I drive like I understand the police are all around. It knows, the system knows how fast everybody's phone is traveling. Hello. Where they are, who's got them on them, are they charging or not? Let's see, can I show you that? Yeah, you can probably see it. I can't see what you're looking at exactly. Oh, there's another expensive ticket right there. I'm just going 45 because that's the speed limit. Right now I just went through 2 cameras at least right there on the bridge. I'm not paranoid. I'm just aware of what the heck's going on. How about that? Are you? Do you know? Do you know that everybody is being tracked, traced, database, threat assessed, and manipulated by this system of control? Oh yeah. And if I do actually get the Cybertruck, I've got some badass vehicle driving skills too. I would like to put that on a racetrack. Show people what it can do. I don't have $80,000 to acquire it. I did have $100 to reserve it. Now this is a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. More speed traps are up ahead, of course. Saturday and Sunday mornings especially are going to be policed up. Just keep in mind, not only are the police watching, angels long to look into these matters of salvation. I'm actually a born-again Christ follower, Bible believing, born again Christian. How about that? And a targeted individual. What kind of targeting do I have? Well, whatever God allows, whatever the Most High allows that system to have access and manipulate me. I'm not exactly sure the extent of that manipulation. Some of the engineering and design things going on in the world of advanced transportation, propulsion systems, the Almighty is well aware, the Almighty God, the way, the truth, and the life, who lives in and through me. Well, He put some of those ideas in my mind before they became a reality in our world today, like Tesla electric vehicles and the Tesla electric semi. I put that on an electric semi on a legal pad over 17 years ago. How about that? Did I have anything to do with the development of it? Well, under the guise of the looking at the sentient world simulation, perhaps. That's a possibility. Because apparently there's a bidirectional relationship with the sentient artificial intelligence that knows our thoughts, apparently. Does God know my thoughts? The Almighty? Absolutely. You may believe that the whole Jesus, creator, taking up human flesh and dwelling among us, you may believe that's a fairy tale. Well, you may be right. I may be wrong. There's no evidence of that to me. All the evidence that I've found indicates that the biblical narrative is true, and there's a whole lot of extras on the set. There's a lot of people that are going to not make it to heaven. However, here's the great news. All those that are going to be born again, born of the Spirit of the Most High, will be. And all of those that are Satan's children or his family, the fallen ones, the fallen angels, they're going to be in hell, apparently. That's the official narrative. I'm going with it. I believe it. My changed life is part of the evidence of that. There's an Elvis porta potty on the left. Thank you very much. Do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? No, I'm rock solid, baby. Over 40 million people heard me talk about that at the Flat Earth International conferences. Why does that matter? Well, because I've got the cojones to tell the truth even though it's unpopular. I don't have any non-disclosure agreements in effect. I have full disclosure agreement in effect with the Almighty. He wants me to expose the truth about everything. So I do, and I will, and I'll keep on doing it. How about that? Now I've pulled into the coastal preserve here off of just a little ways from the ocean, about a quarter of a mile away. It's on the other side of the oceanfront condos from here. I thought I would just come on over here and show you what this looks like. How about that? It's amazing. Good, my light turned off. But let me grab that. Now, what's going to end up happening is there's going to be more movement of the camera. Obviously, it's not going to be as locked in and stationary. Now, I could just see when I popped out the light coming off of there, the reflection. The reality all around us exposes the truth. Whatever that truth is you want to know about. Anything. Anything at all. So like from a racing standpoint, I've had probably fake profiles on Twitter say, are you a racer? Have you? I've raced professional level motocross. That's a pretty intense deal, being able to do that. Some of my surfer friends might wonder why I don't cut up the waves like they do. It's not that important to me. It's more important that I've got the this logo and information visible for people to call me, and then I can talk to them when I'm on the beach. I already have talked to almost all the surfers. They know who I am. Some think I'm crazy. Oh well. The truth sounds crazy to the deceived. How about that? How is your self-awareness? How aware are you of what in the heck is going on in the world today? Do you know? What do you know? What do you believe? Is it actually true, or like is it your own wishful thinking? I don't know. Those are questions you're going to need to come up with answers for. You can call me anytime. Why do I have that information all over the place? Well, oh, now look at, I can tell that the reflection is coming right off of there onto my car. How self-aware are you? Now we don't see that reflection like that. Perspective, line of sight. See how that lighting looks all different there? See my shadow on that license plate? Yeah, I'm not freaked out that people know my license plate number, where I live, what the spelling of my name actually is. I'm a real guy. And I really am not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. How about that? Do you have that going on? I don't know who. It's like I'm not having a conversation with you personally, calling into question your reality. I'm simply wanting you to call it into question. What do you know for sure as it relates to, like, for example, the sentient world simulation? What do you know is for real? What can you prove? Not to me. You don't have to prove anything to me. How about to yourself? What do you know for sure to be true and to be real? I'm going to try and clean that off a little bit better. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Boy, that's beautiful, isn't it? But it's not the ocean. Exactly. It's, I can tell the tide's going out right now. That's what it looks like to me. So I've got a receptacle that I spit in. It's a smaller Starbucks glass. And the reason for that is I would rather do that than be spitting out the window. I think that is just hilarious that the state trooper showed up on cue. Who could choreograph that? How about that? See why I'm not afraid? No fear, baby. No fear at all. Makes me a dangerous man, exposing the truth about everything. A lot of people are afraid. And then some might explain it away. Well, you don't have to, blah, blah, whatever. I'm just doing what I'm created to do. Okay, so I ride a motorcycle, and I just want to show you something. Can I see there at all? How far do I have to stick my car out there to see? How about the cars that are going to be coming later? Oh, here comes somebody. Woohoo! Well, I just don't want to be in his way. Okay. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing now, so it won't be the mirror look that I've had on the gazing pond around here. So the reason why I illustrated that perspective, line of sight, and all that, I ride like I'm invisible on the motorcycle because many people will not see me, and I've got some serious survival skills on that motorcycle too. It's a 750 Shadow. So when I wave to the Teslas, I'm waving to the Optimus supercomputer that updates the whole fleet of self-driving cars, and the worldwide AI, of course, is seeing all of that. How about that? Did you know all that? All right. Oh, my favorite spot is Occupado. Let's see. Looks like they might have a surfboard on it. Cool. They might be taking off in a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Not sure. But what I will do is take one of the next best spots for my free parking arrangement. There's roughly 99 free spots for parking here at the Prince Resort. Wow, that was interesting. I thought I was in reverse. I was just in neutral. Imagine that. That must have been that gravity pulling me. Yeah, gravity. Is in density and mass and the reality of how it works out. That supposed gravity that causes all the water supposedly to stick to a spinning, wobbling, and gyrating water ball, that's all a bunch of bullshit. How about that? That's not reality. That's just bullshit. It's a lie. It's a deception. So does AI lie? Absolutely. How about that? Have you been bamboozled? I was. Now I'm gonna, you know what? It looks kind of windy out there. So I'm probably not gonna want to stay out there for very long. So I'm just gonna grab it like this and walk with my phone without tripod. That's more on stealth mode. That works for me too. That's one of the things that we've been able to do as humanity is take our phones around and, it doesn't have to look like a big camera and a film crew. There's no film involved. It's all digital. What you're looking at is a digital capture and reassembly of all of that on your end. Good morning. All righty. Looks like another shipment of wood. Got wood? Yeah, baby. Good morning. Hey, it looks like you got wood. Excellent, man. So they're working on the pier and bringing in a lot more material. That's awesome. I'm going to go to an area. Now the wind is coming out of that direction. That's northwest. I live about 4 miles that away. What's in that spit? It's not the same spit that I had when I was growing up as a boy because of all the environmental toxification going on. Geoengineering, chemtrails, weather wars, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that was a little nose blow there, just out in the open. So this is the Prince Resort. See how the sun is bouncing off there? I can get myself a really good tan next to this. One of my commenters said, "Are you worried about sunburn or skin cancer?" I'm concerned about it. That's why I don't put any of the carcinogenic. Boy, there you go. Carcinogenic skin protection, so-called. It's not really protection. It gives people skin cancer, and some will say, "Oh, I need to have that on me." I use coconut oil. That's what I use. It's an SPF 4. I was sitting out here yesterday on this. They moved all these on in here a couple days ago. He's bringing that on in. They'll probably be unloading that soon. A lot of work going on the pier right there where there's a crane on there. I've talked to the team members, ride motorcycles to the same Thursday night event that one of the crew leaders goes to at Captain Archie's. Isn't that beautiful? So it was in the 40s today here, in the 80s a couple days ago, low 80s. How about that? Not going to see a little sliver of the moon up there today because of all the sunlight. So in the a matter of housekeeping, at home where I am, when I'm home at night, I'll run low light inside because otherwise it's a fishbowl. If I go right up to here, now you can see inside. At night, when a house has its lights on, it's like a freaking fishbowl. Here we can see the mirror, okay, and there's the fishbowl. For security reasons, I'm not paranoid, I just have justifiable concern. I'm an enemy of the state, exposing the truth about the worldwide genocide population reduction that's going on right now. How about that? Did you know? Did you know that's happening? So the documentation for that, what would sound absolutely outrageous, the documentation for that is on my YouTube channel and my research library, which encompasses a variety of platforms. And that's why if you hashtag my name, I would say guaranteed to blow your mind. You can do with that whatever you want. Explore or ignore. People can ignore the truth. They just can't ignore the consequences of ignoring the truth. It's easier to fool people than convince them they've been fooled. Where did those words come from? Well, I believe that was extrapolated from the Bible, even though Mark Twain was recognized as saying it. I saw the reflection of a fish jumping out of the water out there. How about that? Yes. That's my friend Amy in the middle there. And Scott, looks like. There's some rideable waves there. Mine is 9.1 feet long. It's called the Willie. Imagine that. Kind of funny. Aren't those reflections amazing? Shadows and reflections. The reflection of how I measured up or didn't measure up in the mirror is what got my attention. I was a homeschooling, thought I was born again dad, working at a full-time ministry, spiritually deader than a hammer and didn't know it. How about that? So I wanted to let other people know that perhaps that could be happening to them too, or to you. I don't know who you are. That's the benefit I have of talking potentially to anybody or everybody in the world at once. And then when I'm gone, well, see the shadow, see the reflections. How do we measure up? Do we measure up? What's in the spit? What is in our body? We've got blood that's flowing. We've got a synovial fluid in our joints. It's like a easy water. I bathe in reverse osmosis carbon filtered drinking water for a reason. I don't want the toxins that are being delivered in the water to be in my body. I'm stepping away from there because the wind is now switching. So I can walk a little further over here and avoid some of that. Now, according to the heliocentric global deception, we would be rotating in that direction at over 1,000 miles an hour. Yeah, you feel it? Feel any of that movement going on? I sure hope not, because it ain't happening. Yep, you're at the stationarian level. Man, that pisses people off. Isn't that special? Hey, people pleasers that are afraid of being rejected for not going along with the official lie, man, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. I married one of them. Imagine being married to the truth guy and being a control freak people pleaser. Oh well. I'm telling on her. I love her. I married her. We're still married. We're just rather distant. She's in Wisconsin right now. She's visiting for a little while. Imagine that. I'm divulging a little bit more than I have. I'm not interested in a divorce. I want a different wife. I want it to be her with the looking through the lens of truth. She believes she's born again. I'm thinking probably not yet. Maybe never. I'm not in charge of that for anybody. Not friends, family, or strangers. The Almighty's in charge of who His children are. I thought I was born again when we met, like 37 years ago. We were married on the first day of spring, March 20 of 1988. Imagine that. For all you numerical time traveler folks, 1988, kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm 61 years old. How do I look for 61? Yeah, I feel better than ever. I'm a grandpa now. Dawson is our grandson. They live in Wisconsin. Joni will be visiting here for a couple weeks. Should be interesting. As far as I know, she still hasn't listened to the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars document that I did a Facebook live stream and uploaded it to YouTube, I think about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. When I've been aware of that document for a long time and been sharing it to the best of my ability to everybody in the world. I've shared it millions of times through the links that are in groups of links and all of that. Instagram will show up like 34,000 occurrences of silent weapons for quiet wars. They even created a band with that name. I believe to divert some of the attention from that real topic of that document. It's a CIA document that talked about how the world rulers were going to use a computer system to manipulate and rule the world with the push of a button. You see it happening all around us. People in their devices, out of touch with reality. Hello. I know I'm using the technology. I'll use it to reach the world for Jesus Christ. Now, you may know him as Yeshua, Yahweh, the living word, the living water, the great spirit, the great I am, the Alpha and Omega. Many titles, many names. Some people get trapped into legalism. I'm not into legalism. I'm saved by grace through faith. That's the only reason anybody is saved, by grace through faith, that no one should boast. And I understand there's people that go, oh, that's your truth. Well, it's the truth, best I can tell. If I found out different, I would do something about it. I would let you know that I've had that wrong. I believe I've got that right. So one of the evidence, there's much evidence for the reliability of Scripture. One of them is, that I appreciate so much, is the fact that I'm not the guy that I was, and I have once I was actually born again in 2014 on Reformation Day, as best I can tell, is I have a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, and the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it's profoundly unpopular. The truth is not based on popular opinion. It's not popular, and it's not an opinion. It's simply the reality of the situation. Whatever it is that you want to know about. Yeah, Melissa just got out there. She sings in a band as well. See, I can't be out there and right here recording it. Now, can I? Like I say, I'm not so concerned with my skill set riding on the ocean. It's riding the internet worldwide, exposing the truth about everything. That's my purpose. The other thing is, with healthy eating, intermittent fasting, I've lost over 40 pounds, feel better than ever. I've got documentaries that cover health and wellness, and the over 350 hyperlinks in the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars landing video on my channel. Well, that should be a wake-up call. If your mind isn't blown, you're not paying attention. That's what I would say with that. So we've got the locals out here. I recognize them. And then we've got the guests that come here. I've met people that work with Bill Gates. Imagine that. Met a lot of people driving Teslas. I waved to them, talked to some of them. Met people from the alphabet agencies, NSA, FBI, out here. Like I said, I'm not paranoid. I'm just aware of the situation. And then I've had some people say, oh, you're talking about the flat earth. I'm sure they're not concerned about you. That is the funniest stuff. People believe a lot of things. Is it true? whatever it is you want to know about. I just prefer the truth about it. So the bait shop is, here's what we got going on now here. And hopefully for the 4th of July weekend, we'll have a fireworks display, and then hopefully a, how would I say, the pier opened up. So the pier is a turning point for a lot of people. They'll make it on up to the pier, touch it, and turn around and walk the other way. And I would get wet feet walking over there to show you, but I can zoom in on it. I've got a sticker on that stainless steel bracket. There it is, right there. And people can do whatever they can do with that. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So I'm down from the wind a bit. It's going over the top of my head. See how the reflection there now once again? It's like a mathematical equation. Here's the sandpiper that was out here the other day. Or one like him. Could be a stand-in. Could be one of the extras. Send in the extra sandpiper. Hey, we had a swan. Actually, 2 swans got killed by an alligator, a 12-foot alligator, in our neighborhood. So apparently they relocated the alligator. I don't know if he's alligator boots and shoes and belts or what. But anyway, we had another swan come in. Apparently they're like, so there's dolphins out there right in the middle of the view. Let's see if I can zoom in on them for you. So the dolphins are right below where the seabirds are above. That's because there's a bunch of fish there. And a lot of times the shark do not like to be nearby the dolphins. Remember the show Flipper? I do, in the 60s growing up. And apparently it's true that the sharks aren't crazy about the dolphins. All right. That's Amy. And part of what will end up happening is my surfer friends will end up going to my channel to see themselves on the video. They might get a little more than they bargained for. How about that? I don't mind. Works for me. All right. People reflect off of the sand. See the shadows and reflections. They reflect on their lives, past, present, future. Chokes me up. Oh, well, it looks like there we are again. All right. That's Melissa. So the 23andMe, you may think it sounds crazy to be blowing and going, blowing my nose, spitting. They sure wanted our saliva, didn't they? Now I talked with a friend out here. He said, you've got some longevity in your family, right? Wondering why I'm doing so healthy and stuff. I said, well, my mom died about 30 years ago when she was 52. And my dad died when he ran out of money, things for them to liquidate, they adjusted his meds and he died. I said, my Heavenly Father is where I get the real longevity. And he goes, don't give me that. I just came here to enjoy walking on the beach. I said, well, it's true. You know, I'm actually born again. I have power to do what I previously couldn't do, the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it's unpopular. I say that same stuff over and over again, but it's true. I say it because it's true. I lost signal. That is not only a water tower. That is a cell tower right there with some really sophisticated technology on it. And I can operate this kind of equipment. I could unload the trailer if I need to. I've driven a semi in tight quarters and heavy equipment and all that. I've got a very diverse skill set. It isn't a look at me, it's like I can do whatever I need to do. Whatever God wants me to do, I can do that. That's why I bring that up. Kind of like on the Matrix where Trinity says I need a helicopter program. I need to fly a helicopter. It's like, okay. I've had people tell me they saw my sticker in California, about as far away as you can get from here, on the ocean, at a recycling center. How'd it get there? I've had people make stickers like mine and then put them places. Those are waterproof stickers, by the way. Isn't that pretty? Are you open to new information that may contradict what you've previously believed to be true? Now, I recognize her. That's her walk. That's what she does. Look at her. Loving life, listening to tunes, got a happy walk. I've got some relatively happy friends out there surfing. However, there's a joy and a peace that surpasses happiness, which is more, happiness is more contingent on events or circumstances. Like some people think, oh, if I won the lottery, you know, billions of people have spent billions of dollars to win the lottery. Have you seen what happens to those people? And not so good for some of them. How about when they win the lottery of a brilliant idea, an invention, they make millions or billions of dollars. What happens to them? It's almost like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now I'm looking at, I can see the surface activity of the fish coming up and the birds that are over there eating them or trying to. I'm going to try and get a better position here. So that's part of the cycle of life, is that the creation works like that. The birds eat the fish, the fish eat the littler fish, and, well, there's shark attacks, but people are not the main diet for sharks. There aren't enough people out in the water to feed all the sharks that are there. There's a different kind of shark, though. A land shark. A loan shark. Somebody, every now and again I get offered a credit card with 350% interest. That's what I got to say about that. Don't want it. Don't need it. Bastards. Kick the money changers out. That's what Jesus did. He's the original truther. And he told the truth about the Ponzi scheme that the money changers were working on. The religious leaders, the legalists, the synagogue of Satan that he called them. And they crucified him for it. How about that? So, why should I expect any different from me? Okay, so that's a thing. That's why I illustrate that. The people that think, oh, I don't want a deity telling me what to do, if you haven't figured out that you're going to be told what to do whether you like it or not, That's too bad for you. It's happening all around. Even the people, let's use Elon Musk for example. If he's, from what I understand, promoting a space fantasy and playing a significant role in the creating of artificial intelligence, so-called, that is very dangerous, and it's, I would say, out of control. Not exactly. It's God is ultimately in control of everything. Which God? Well, the God who created this world is the Almighty, the All-Powerful, All-Knowing, and I've been born of His Spirit, so He lives in and through me. Now, if you're looking at whoever it is that's promoting a false reality, I would say, well, they may be somebody that's going to be born of the Spirit at some time. However, if they're willingly promoting a deception, that's just not right, because those that love and practice falsehood won't even see the kingdom of heaven. So who is that? I don't know. I'm not in charge of that. I'm just responsible for exposing the truth, knowing and exposing the truth. Like I say, very unpopular to do. That's okay. This isn't a popularity contest. I actually pay for a premium YouTube. Actually, it's like less than, I think, about $15 a month for paying for YouTube. And I'm not monetized. I mean, I don't make money doing YouTube. I use Google to share my. Google is part of the team curating my research library, which involves their platform, but I'm on Odyssey as well, known as Truth on Odyssey. I don't even have the Truth on my shirt right now. It's all over my other information, my car, and I'll link it in the description and in the comments. That's enough. That'll work. But anyway, I've reached out to the leaders of the world, the military-industrial complex, the financial complex, the world central banking system, the world elite, so-called. No big deal. Now the AI knows I've done that. I'm not saying anything that it doesn't know about that. What I know too, though, is to go from being spiritually dead to being spiritually alive. I saw what that was like for me. He impressed me so much with that the fear went away. I became aware of what was going on, and I wanted other people to know that can happen perhaps to them too. God determines who His children are. The Almighty determines where and when people would be. If you're all bent out of shape that you don't like the morality of Jesus and you want to be non-binary and do your own thing in your bedroom and with your body and with other people's bodies, well, whatever you can do. I'm constrained and empowered by the Almighty to do what He created me to do. So, who's your daddy now? I can tell you mine is the Creator. I love that. What a privilege. It's the best deal going. I got to, I don't know what I just did there. So, what I was able to do is trade in my rags for His riches, my self-effort for His power living in and through me, and in real time, not only choreographing what I want to do. The umbrella that I operate under is I want to do what He created me to do, and then I'm trusting Him to lead me with what I say, where I go, what I do, all of that. So, like earlier in the broadcast, if you didn't see it, I was talking about people tone their speed down quite a bit when they see a state trooper, and I'm sitting at the intersection seeing blue lights come up behind me to my right and enforcing what will probably be a 350 or $400 speeding ticket. If I'm going through that zone close to the shift change time, like 7, 8, if I'm coming through there at 6:45 in the morning, there are going to be last minute people that are coming there for a shift change. I don't know, they may have had to get their kids off to school, they may have had to do this or that, and they may view themselves as entitled. I need to speed to get there on time, what I do is so important. Well, if it's that freaking important, go to bed earlier if you need to. Stop watching reruns of stuff you already have seen many times before. Or you may have had a crisis, and you may say, wow, I had to, whatever the crisis is. I was rushed to the hospital for eating too many Flintstone chewables. When I climbed up on the cupboard, I was a firstborn, so I caught my parents off guard. I was like 1.5 years old, and now 2 years old. And I climbed up on a cupboard and got up on the top shelf and got the Flintstone chewables and ate 2 bottles of them. Wow. Well, the iron in them would have killed me. I've got a photographic memory. Those who know me personally have heard of that. They know that. I remember what my shoes look like, and I was strapped down on a table and I remember the feeling of the tubes in my nose. They were pumping my stomach out. And then when we got home after the emergency, my mom poured orange juice on I think it was Cheerios. She was really shook up. That was in 1963, and that was right around the time when, my brother was born, actually when President Kennedy was getting assassinated, or had just been assassinated. They brought the TV in the delivery room. My brother, William J. Forsch, you can see him. He spells his last name Forsze. He did the original makeup for Arnold Schwarzenegger on the Terminator. I'll be back. Imagine that. He also plaster casted a lot of celebrities, including me. I've got way more status than I ever realized I would have. And the reason why I appreciate it is because I want this message of truth to get out to everybody that will listen to it, even those who won't. I'm not in charge of what people do or don't do. I'm grateful for that. The pelicans know what to do. The birds know, all the birds seem to know what to do, and the dogs. It's the people. Gosh, the people. Can you imagine smoking stuff? That doesn't look right. I remember seeing I remember my mom would say, I was a little boy, and there were these teenagers taking cigarette butts that were lit and giving them to the monkeys at the Rawhide in Menominee Falls, where the Harley Davidson Motor Company was, a couple miles from where I lived in Menominee Falls. I have a new subscriber, a shout out, thanks for calling, lives in Kenosha. And I pretty much keep people's lives anonymous about who they are and different things. I may mention how their life was perhaps impacted by God working through me to set them free from heroin or Suboxone. I've had that happen many occasions where people have told me how God used me to change their lives. So that's a big old semi, and as you can see, that looks like an owner-operated vintage with a sleeper on it, working in the lumber industry. It's just kind of the way it works. There's clues all around us of what's going on, how things actually work out. At some point in time, I'm sure that we're going to see the team roll up to fire up the forklift and unload the truck. That'll happen. People with dogs sometimes will visit. A lot of dog owners are local. But like some people will visit from Canada. Hey, yeah, I meet them. Have wonderful conversations with them. Or upstate New York. That's a different world. Upstate New York versus New York City. Man, I wouldn't want to be living in New York City. Hey, I had a happening last night. I had been in my, I found out that my refrigerator, freezer, one of them, I've got a couple of them, one of them failed. And I had a couple 100 pounds of meat that went bad. And it's not like I was not paying it. Well, I didn't catch it when it had gone bad. It was cool but questionable, so I had to pitch it out. So there's a couple 100 pounds of meat in my garbage can. I'm not even as much weight as what I had to throw out last night. The reality though is maybe there was something in the meat that I needed to not have in me, or I didn't want to throw it away, I needed to. I believed it was the best thing to do. So there you go. That's what so like last night, it was like 11:30 and I thought, well, it's got to go. It didn't smell bad yet. It would if I didn't do that. So paper towel, baking soda, it's all cleaned up, and I let it thaw out, or what I did is I unplugged it for like a couple hours. Maybe something froze up and it wasn't working right. Even though the compressor was running, it wasn't working. Okay. I tell you that because the light was on in it and all that, and it had the illusion that it was working. It wasn't working right. Okay. So then what I ended up doing was put it all in the trash can, and then I'll put that out on the curb today. And then normally I have one bag of cat litter and a few things that go out, probably 15 pounds worth of trash. I don't have much waste. Well, tomorrow it's going to be straining. It's an autonomous arm that's going to come out and grab it and load it up and dump it. But it's almost like a parody of the Monty Python. Imagine, bring out your dad. I remember seeing Monty Python on at the theater when I was getting high with a bunch of friends, smoking weed and laughing, believing that the Bible was a fairy tale. That worked for me. Sextra, so where I was at that time in my life, a teenager, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I smoked weed for my first time with people whose parents worked with the military industrial complex at a high level, executive at Oshkosh Truck, his dad. And his sister was really hot, but she was a minor, so was I. But we didn't really mess around. I just remember that when I was when I was 18, I knew that anybody less than 18 is off limits. Some politicians haven't figured that out. Bastards, okay? Pedophiles, I'm exposing them. That was part of the reason why I put my name out there. You can hashtag my name, Google me, find out that I'm not a pedo and I'm not a criminal, okay? However, if I was, God's grace is sufficient. It's just that, like when we look at the politicians that have been convicted or visibly shown signs of pedophilia, sex crimes, they've been busted, or the so-called Catholic priests that were proven to be pedophiles, and they get transferred to another parish instead of transferred to prison. What's up with that? It's wrong. There's right and there's wrong. Some things are kind of an in-between. We may not know the details of it. Pedophilia is wrong. Rape is wrong. Human trafficking, human slavery is wrong. Right now, though, most people are paying for their own enslavement with the world central banking system. They don't know it. Some do. Some get it. I'm exposing all of it. The technological enslavement of humanity using powerful technology. I'm exposing that too. Yep, how about that? So, that was a nose blow. The brain up here has a lot of metabolic activity, consumes roughly, apparently, like a third of our calories that we consume. And there's cellular activity, our metabolism, that delivers blood and oxygen and takes away waste products. Blow and go, baby. I can spit it out. I can blow it out. I can shave with it. I do. Okay, that may sound gross. It's better than Gillette Edge or Foamy or whatever toxic crap they put in that. It works well enough that God created mucus for the whole physical intimacy and interaction, and if there isn't enough of it, well, somebody's going to be feeling some pain. And, well, some people don't care if others feel pain at their own, for their own appetite of pleasure. So part of the problem that we've got with the technological enslavement is the selfishness of fallen humanity that is feeding some really dark experiences into the artificial intelligence, so-called, the AI. How about that? So if the fallen nature isn't changed, then what? Well, then they're left with the like demonic activity, demonic. How would I say, like a fallen angel living through them, a demon living through somebody that's harming men, women, children, animals. It's wrong. And there will be a new heaven and a new earth. And it's on the way. We're rapidly approaching that. We're out of time. I'm out of time. The Almighty lives out of time. He's outside of time. That's what I mean. He operates outside of time. So as he lives in and through his children, he gives us dreams, visions, an awareness of what's going on all around us. What an exciting ride. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine experiencing that? So some people go, they live, here, put these glasses on. One of the biggest, Roddy Piper and the other dude, they're fighting by the dumpster. Put them on, put these glasses on. It's like, you got to see this world for what it is. And, well, I'm just wanting to help you have an eternal perspective. That was the name of my channel for a time. You could look at it on YouTube. If you hashtag eternal perspective, you should see my channel in the car with that really long logo, and it's cool. I mean, I still like the idea of having an eternal perspective. We all will. It's just, where will that perspective be? And so what I ended up doing was going for a much punchier, shorter term, and that being truth. And so the challenging part of that is it will be hard for people to find the truth if they just type that in. But if you type in my phone number, you can call me. You can find my content, perhaps. Could send a text to me. A lot of people do. A lot of my research library has been a collaboration with people on multiple platforms that will send me links directly to my phone number or to Facebook Messenger. I'm not real active on Skype. I've been on Skype. I've got an account in the WhatsApp. A lot of crypto babes. Are they actually real people with the big coconuts, the big boobs? Is it even a real person? Or is it a fabricated, synthetic, deep fake of a profile? A lot of Asian profiles, young 20-something Asian ladies with a lot of money, a lot of bling, like fancy cars, fancy living in Dubai or showing Dubai in the background. They don't make phone calls to me. Some would say, one said you're mentally defective. I'm like, you can call me sometime, call me anytime. I'll be happy to actually hear your voice. So what kind of Turing test have I been involved in? Like in the, what was the name? Ex Machina. Wow, that's a trip. Looking at that, the Turing test, they were doing a Turing test to see if he could figure out if Ava was a robot or a person, was sentient. I'm telling you, AI is fully sentient and way more in control than most people realize. I've got about a 10-year jump on Elon Musk in paying attention. That's not the big advantage. The big advantage is that the Holy Spirit lives in and through me, and I regularly reach out to Elon on tweets. Even on Easter, he was talking about people's genetics, and I put eternal life in Jesus Christ, and then sent him my research library playlist. So, does he know who I am? Like I said, I've ordered the Tesla Cybertruck. It would be pretty amazing. I believe all vehicles, especially that one, should have a water recovery system on the climate control. All the climate controls, I'm going to give us a different look there. All the climate control systems on the vehicles and the houses are using electricity as an atmospheric water generator. Now, in the case of a vehicle like the Truthmobile, it's using gasoline to drive the alternator and to turn the crankshaft and all that. That's going to operate the power steering, the climate control, but there's electrical components to that as well. Well, water drips out from the cars. If you had an Aptera, three-wheeled vehicle, amazing vehicle, developed out of Carlsbad. I actually visited that factory about 14 years ago. They were closed at the time, but I drove my Buick Park Avenue Ultra out there, and I had put together a HHO hydroxygen generator, a hydrogen generator. It split the molecule between oxygen and hydrogen and fed it into the supercharger, which gave me like 38 miles per gallon on a full-size car on the open road. And powerful. It had about 270 horsepower with that modification, and that was a pretty cool grampinator. Anyway, I tell you all that because I can work on engines, electronics, work on a lot of different stuff, and see how the pieces of this puzzle fit together. So you could have the sun converting or pulling the moisture out of the water. You can see the temperature differential, like concrete, that with a temperature change drastically will sweat. Do you have a good way to capture that water? Well, in a climate control system, driving across Death Valley, you might be out of water, but it can harvest what little water out of the atmosphere that you're exhaling. We respire, we perspire. That might come in real handy. Not that I'm not promoting urine therapy. However, early on in a dehydrating process, if you were out at sea and you didn't have any water to drink, you can sip a little bit of salt water. You can evaporate it. You can get creative with that, with evaporation. Even inland, you can use the temperature differential to harvest humidity out of the water. out of the atmosphere. But anyway, the water bottle, the atmospheric water generator, is an idea that I've sent to Elon. I've sent him my YouTube channel. I'm on a rescue mission to try and reach everybody I can. And I reached out to him over 3 years ago, about 3.5 years ago. Sent him my YouTube channel, Tesla Racing stickers. I believe the video I did, if you hashtag Tesla Racing, you should see it, where I sent him a shirt with me photoshopped in the Roadster. It's photoshopped because it has to be. I've got friends that are so-called flat earthers that don't like me reaching out to Elon because of his space fantasy. And then there are those that don't like the idea of computer domination of the world and don't like the Neuralink and all that. I've been exposing the transhumanist agenda for years, as long as I've known about it, and encouraging people to be born again for over 35 years. It's just that I was actually born again, got the upgrade in 2014. So I'm running different hardware and software in me. The Holy Spirit took up residence in me. That changed my hardware, my ability to receive from God. The software that I run on is primarily a love for the truth, determining the truth, spiritual discernment that goes along with all that. The practical protection I have from technology is whatever it is. I don't exactly know. I hear of other people in the targeted community that have a much more difficult time than I do. It's tough all around. There's a lot of difficulty going on with what's happened in the last 3 years, with all the COVID lockdowns and mandates and all that's been going on. So I can't talk in much detail about any of that. You can explore my research library. Why can't I talk about it if they can? They'll take my channel down, if God allows it. So out there, I'm going to flip it around. You'll be able to see him hopping. He's missing part of his leg, but he can fly just fine. And there aren't a bunch of one-leggers out there. There's him. I've seen him for years out here, or maybe another one took his place. Imagine just hopping around. That one can run. Sometimes I've seen them feed each other. Isn't that cool? They can do that. And sometimes they grab the food and fly away from the rest of them so that they can have it. So is it selfish? I don't know. They may be taking it to a little family of birds. Right now, at my front window, the bush by my front window, I've got a female cardinal sitting on a nest there. Yeah, she's adorable. She sees when I come in the room sometimes. I can tell. Sometimes she flies away, but I'm going to probably take some pictures of the little bird. Oh, let me flip this around. They're looking for left behind French fries and whatnot. Where are they? There they are. Whoa. I had a mockingbird land on my head one day. Imagine that. And then recently we had in same bush in the front yard, a hen mallard had like 7 eggs under there. And then they all went away. She and the ducklings all went away. They weren't in our pond backyard or in the pond that's in our backyard, my backyard. Anyway, let's flip this around. So now the birds that were feeding on the, I don't know what I did there. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what I just did there. I've got a video of the sun appearing to be in the clouds. Notice how wide the reflection gets when the sun is higher in the sky, and it's real narrow when it's low on the horizon. Job 37 says that the sun is in the midst of the clouds. Genesis 1 talks about that there's a firmament. You can read the book of Genesis, listen to it if you want. I listen to or meditate on Scripture day and night. Takes less than a day to hear the entire New Testament. I've done it thousands of times. And I've listened to the Old Testament too. Listened to all of it. And the book of Enoch. So for proper, good morning, pool maintenance, they'll have a pool tech that has credentials to maintain the water at a certain pH and chlorine level and vacuum it out real good and clean it all up. There's a lot of, so in the, like building a home, it would be difficult to create home building robots. However, there's different structures that can be built for habitations that robots can build. 3D printed homes, you can see it. You can use aircrete, put a lot of air in concrete, and the thermal transfer is not as much. It's like insulated concrete, and you can add a different mixture to sand and create shotcrete. Gunite is a different process using air pressure and blowing it on. Like this right here is steel, and there's finer steel, a web of it, like lathing that you can spray concrete on. Insulated concrete forms where you fill up a void or spray it on the outside. It can withstand hurricanes, earthquakes, firestorms, like out in California. I've got that on my channel too. So from an energy standpoint, I've got videos that show 0-point energy systems being created. Magnet motor generator, you can see it. I've got different versions of that video. Troy Reed that made an electric car that didn't need a big battery. Just had a little 12-volt battery. Imagine that. I've sent it to Elon. Stanley Meyer in the water car. Yeah, they killed him too. Not that that's funny. It's ironic that there's all this talk about global warming and climate change and sea level rise. And how about a little sea level rise there, a little spit, a little pee. People pee out in the ocean. They spit out in the ocean. The water evaporates and fills it back up with the rivers and the rain and all that. And God set the boundaries of the waters. And that water could be run through a system, a process that Stanley Meyer made to propel a vehicle or create electricity out of it. About 17 times more electricity was produced than it took to run the process. How counterintuitive is that? 1,700% increase. So you look at the water out there, how easy is it to get it? I can go and drink it if I want. I can surf on it if I want. I could put it into his water dune buggy and run it. Where is it? Well, they killed him. He wouldn't sell it out. He wouldn't sell out. And what he said shortly before his death, he said the technology was viewed by the United States government as an issue of national security, so it was out of his control what the Pentagon and the DOD and NASA were going to do with it. How about that? Imagine that. Can you imagine why the powers that are in power right now would be unhappy with me? So like Elon made a response to Germany cutting down or eliminating another nuclear power plant. He just put psi. Nuclear is relatively clean energy. There's other ways to make electricity too. We could all have a charging system in an electric vehicle with a smaller battery and the technology to create electricity, whether we're eating, sleeping, walking on the beach, driving the car, it could be perpetually charging. Well, would JP Morgan or Larry, how about Larry Fink of BlackRock? Would he like that? Power to the people? Heck no. The big central banking system, the money banks of the world, they don't want they want to enslave humanity with a predatory financial system. There was a video that Anonymous did yesterday. They've got almost 4 million subs, and talking about how China has a better position on artificial intelligence than the United States. Problem with China is they have no problem harvesting organs from people that are unpopular with their political endeavors. So human organ harvesting in China, the boot on the face of humanity, who's behind all that? It's a battle between God and Satan and the representative families of good and evil. I'm one of the good guys. I'm one of the God guys. That's what one of my friends calls me. He says, "You're my God guy." We talk quite a bit. Anyway, I'm going to flip this around and let you take a look. Stretching, exercising, walking on the beach, surfing. Yeah, I don't have time for that, really. You can walk wherever you are, barefoot if you want. Earthing is a real thing. Earthing is being grounded on the earth, and the negative electrons that go up into the body reduce the oxidation that how would I say, the difference between the positive atmosphere and the negative of the earth. When we're insulated from that, it creates inflammation and cellular oxidation. I'm on the beach a lot, out in the ocean a lot, digging into the sand with a shovel, making a sand castle, and watching the ocean taking it away. Well, was it just about that? No, it was about building my body. It's great exercise. So it was funny, I was looking out on the pier one day, and all of these cormorants were lined up, like that little group there, and then there was a lone pelican sitting up there with them. I talked to Leonard. I said, Leonard, have you ever seen a pelican sitting on the ledge before, on the railing? He said, nope. I said, I saw it the other day. It was funny. I asked Leonard if he saw the sunrise yesterday. This was like a week ago. He said, yeah, it was square. It was interesting. It was like vertical sides, and the top was pretty flat. For a while, it's a term called atmospheric lensing. So this is a little microclimate here, not much breeze blowing, a lot of sun coming off of the glass and off of the sun itself, and then it warms up this area. So even in Wisconsin, where I was working at Rawhide Boys Ranch, that was the full-time ministry, there was a porch that had a little, it was a cedar sided or barn wood that it was made out of. They would take down old barns and they built the cafe out of it. And there was a porch I was able to sit on and get sunshine in the middle of winter. And it was funny, people thought it was odd that I would do that. It's like, I'm picking up energy from the sun. I'm picking up a lot of energy from the sun right now. And a lot of times I don't wear sunglasses. Sometimes I do. I'll wear them when I want, and when I don't want. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't be wearing sunglasses. It's like, well, do whatever you want to do. Sometimes I wear them, sometimes I don't. I'm using a earbud on a wired mic because I don't want, even though I bought the AirPods Pro, the right AirPod connects to the phone, the left one connects through the head, apparently. I don't want any unnecessary exposure to the EMF waves, especially on the brain. But even having my phone this close to my face right now, that's close enough to have some serious effect on me. That's the way it is. You can't get away from it. The wired and wireless is all around us. So I have my Wi-Fi turned off on my phone. Now, when I was walking down on the beach, I lost my signal intermittently. Now that is Beach Services Chairs and Umbrella guy. I haven't talked to him before, but I recognize the clipboard and backpack and walking to open up the the chairs. Like right over there, they'll rent out chairs and umbrellas. I did see him out here yesterday. I recognized him from yesterday. Our son Austin did that, chairs and umbrellas. And now he's a registered nurse working in as a travel nurse. Imagine that. It's been interesting the last couple of years. It's been difficult. Not only the last couple of years, I've personally survived a near fatal suicide attempt while on pharmaceuticals as directed. And pharmaceuticals exacerbated my addiction because it was blocking the dopamine receptor. I was on Prozac and Depakote. A lot of people die on that. If you read the black box warning, it may say you may have more frequent urination, unusual thoughts, but they don't talk about you may want to kill your family and yourself. The closest they'll get to it is they'll say you may have suicidal thinking. They don't talk about suicidal ideation, which is a morbid preoccupation with death of others, of self. The war machine in the world has unfortunate participants in their activity, the military-industrial complex, creating weapons of war and destruction of humanity. All the wars are based on deception and control and evil. Now, some would say, well, what about the Bible? Kill the men, women, children, and animals. Okay, so there was a day when these entities would be Nephilim, and they needed to be eradicated. They were a hybrid abomination. You can see videos. The documentary Ethereal is in my playlist, covers some of that. And so then there are some that will say, well, the church was killing in the Dark Ages and all that, the Inquisition and all the evil that was going on, and they weren't Jesus's people doing that, as far as I can tell. It was Satan's children pretending to do God's work, to kill off their enemies and blame it on the people that they were wanting to annihilate. It's like a multi-dimensional situation. Imagine that. So now our forklift operators, and gonna go ahead and take that stuff off of there, using hydraulics. Hydraulics for power steering and for lifting thousands of pounds. What would it take a group of guys to do that? Could they do it? Of course. It's a lot easier to use equipment, though. I've got some video showing the beach renourishment out here, zoomed in with a high zoom camera, the P1000 and P900. That's probably about $30,000 worth of wood on that trailer with trucking easily. It's a very specialized wood. And there's the Coca-Cola truck. I haven't been drinking soda for years. I recommend people be real diligent about putting healthy nutrients in the body without having toxins in it. It's a big deal. That's taken a bit too long. So I'll use coconut oil on my skin and in my coffee. I bring a big container of it out here with a little bit in there. I don't need to carry several pounds of it out here every day. And it makes it easier to warm up when there's a little bit of it in here. And then it's also an example. People are spraying this toxic garbage all over their body. I don't yell at them. I don't run up to them and tell them how poisonous it is. I just get out of the airstream if I was in it. Sometimes I'll smell it. It's like I'll stop breathing and I'll walk upwind of them or out of that airstream. If I perhaps breathe a little bit of it in, it stays in there for a while. The air fresheners are intent, many of them, like I won't even mention a brand name. They're designed to toxify the brain. You can see like the Febreze ad is people are sitting in a room that looks like a dumpster and a Domino's pizza and a beer party happened or whatever. It looks like a garbage dump and they're blindfolded and can't smell. Oh, it smells really nice. Well, it's kind of like that. People are immersed in deception that makes this world kind of okay. Their own augmented reality. A good example of that would be pornography. The sexually starved marriage or person that goes to pornography to try and satisfy that intimacy that it's not going to deliver. It's going to release some chemicals, some norepinephrine, dopamine, and oxytocin, a chemical cocktail to provide a little bit of pleasure to the miserable life. And I found the love of my life in the relationship that I have with the Almighty, the Most High. He delivers, like I say, a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, and the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it's really unpopular. Yeah, now they got a couple of spotters over there working with them on it. He doesn't want to put the forks through too far and dump that other one off the back side or something. But they'll get it. They'll do a fine job of it, I'm sure. There goes the pest control truck. I used to apply chemicals for flea control and roaches and ants and all that. Sandoz Precor was one of the sterilizing, it was to sterilize fleas. Sandoz Corporation worked with CIA making LSD. Did you know that? You can connect the dots on that. You can look it up, it's public information. The CIA worked to deliver drugs to the hippies, to humanity, the Operation MK Ultra, the drugging and mind control technology implemented on humanity. How about that? Know all about it. Lots of it. And then I've got talented documentary producers that I participated with by adding their work to my research library and sharing it worldwide. So when I tweet to Herr Klaus Schwab or Vladimir Putin or Elon Musk or the President of the United States, I've tweeted to Donald Trump before he was the president, during his presidency, and afterwards. What does he do with that? I'm sure he gets a few tweets. I'm not under the illusion that they're all waiting to see what I have to say. It's like they should pay attention to like I said, people can ignore the truth. They just can't ignore the consequences of ignoring the truth. One of my favorite quotes of Jesus Christ is, "What will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul?" Think about it. There's one author of Scripture, that is the Holy Spirit, and there's a lot of transcribers, and then there's a lot of corruption of the text with inaccurate translations, inaccurate versions. What's more important than knowing the Word of God is to know the author, to actually know the truth, the person of Jesus Christ. And He'll reveal the reality of what's true and not. If you're one of His children, now if you're one of Satan's children, probably not going to be interested in any of this anyway, right? However, personal preference is a poor way of determining truth. Even though I rely on Him leading my desire to do what He created me to do, the umbrella that operates under, the overall operating system that I have, is to know and expose the truth about everything. And the more important whatever the issue is, the more important an accurate determination of what's going on is. So how do you know what's true? How do you know what's real? Going to need some help with that. The movie Eagle Eye, it's kind of funny. It had a lot to do with artificial intelligence, and one of the comments is, he's getting help. They're getting help from somewhere. Oh yeah, I'm getting help from somewhere too. Here he's taking it down now. Looks like he's taken a few off already. So that's pretty cool. They're taking it from that semi-trailer and putting it on their trailer over there. The guy's working on the pier. And that's a diesel truck, obviously, and a diesel tractor or front end loader. And it's got a boom that comes out. All the rigs over there, that's like $500,000 worth of equipment easy. My dad sold steel to the military industrial complex. He would tell me about like tunnel boring machines when I was a little boy, and ships and all of that kind of stuff. And then the diesel electric trains. He said those are all electric trains. They've got diesel on them, though. They've got a diesel generator on them. So they generate electricity to drive electric motors, much like the Oshkosh truck uses a diesel generator. It could power the hotel or power the electric motors that it drives. Those could be turned into motorhomes, or you could have, instead of it being weapons of war, it could be exploratory platforms. In the new heaven and the new earth, they're going to turn their swords into plowshares. What's that going to be like? We don't need to have a war-based economy. Doesn't need to be that way. beach services, he'll go and pop up a couple of umbrellas down the way there. Perhaps. He's done it before. They've done it before. Wow, now I'm almost like too hot here. That looks like a greyhound. They have dog races. And then there's rescue. Going back to the platforms for trains, for trucks, it could be running on water. The Stanley technology that he did molecular dissociation of the oxygen and hydrogen. And all right, so my broadcast cut out again. Sometimes that'll happen more when there's more activity on the network. When I would go to the EAA, the experimental aircraft fly-in, there would be an extra bunch of towers that they would bring in, and on a busy day there would be over 500,000 people there. That reminds me of the crosswalk where the Beatles were walking across. So this is one of the fastest growing areas in the country. I'm going to step out of the wind a little bit. There's building construction going on here. Hey, I wanted to highlight the porta potty that tipped over yesterday. I talked about it earlier. See, those tires there don't have air in them, so they don't get poked and go flat. And there's the porta unit that tipped over. We aren't spinning, wobbling, and gyrating. Shit would be flying everywhere. How about that? Scheiss. That's what the Germans call it, or shit. It's poop, it's excrement. It's pee, it's all of that. It's not happening because the Earth is stationary and level. That's really unpopular because that is part of the mind control programming package that is inundating humanity. That is the truth about that. And once again, this is the Truthmobile at the Prince Resort. Cherry Grove, South Carolina. So I'll put this out on the car, and it looks nicer. I think when it's like this, it doesn't catch as much wind. It's more aerodynamic than when it's all bagged up. And then I'll put it out on the beach there. So this one plant here doesn't seem to be getting enough water. The other ones are. They just put them in. That's kind of how it works. Once the plant is dead, you can pour as much water as you want on it. It's not going to work. You have to get them when they're alive. See, these all look pretty good. That one, yeah, that one's a little dry too. I've got some water with me. I'm gonna fix it up. I'm gonna do that. Heck, I'm gonna do it right now. In a little. I'll wait just a minute. Hey, good morning. I was going to mention the landscape looks great, Unfortunately, some of these up here are not getting enough water. I know the water is spraying up there. I don't know if you have, you put in the bark, right? It looks good, man. I don't know if there's, the water was flying up here, but not quite getting on these plants. I was gonna I've got a little water with me. I'll give them some to drink to keep them alive for a while. Cool, man. Thanks. So I can take care of it immediately, and then for a more long-term result, talking to people that have that responsibility makes sense. I'm gonna grab my water jug. Good morning. All right, let me flip this around. So what I'm going to do is just take this on over. This is the purified water as well. The water system I got from Amazon was like a couple $100. You think that'll make a difference to these guys? Do they have any feelings? Is it the right thing to do? I think so. Makes sense to me. Whoa. my earbud was falling out. It matters to me. I know it's the right thing to do. I've had plants at home that unfortunately I neglected. Even plants in my house at home, I waited a little too long to get water to them, and sometimes if they get overwatered, then they get hey Melissa, yeah, I got you riding, you're on a live stream now and I got you riding over there, pretty cool. So let me just do this for a moment. All right. Oh wow, she's moving her car, I think. If that's the case, then I'm grabbing that spot. So I'm gonna, I think she's warming up. I don't think she's moving. So I'm gonna just flip this around for a minute. I've got a personality issue on my car. So like, even though I opened up the door, the lights stayed on. I don't really want my lights to stay on when I'm not making electricity with the alternator. Yeah, I was going to move my car so I could position it a little bit better to pick up the parking spot, but she's just warming up, I think. Yeah. All right, so let's see. What do I want to do with any of this? See, the thing that I found out about the mucus, the saliva, there's some that would come up out of the lungs and come up through the windpipe. That's different than what comes out of the head and out of the sinuses. And when I started surfing a few years ago, I would lean back and let the salt water go into my sinuses. And I had had problems with allergy and clogged sinuses for like over 50 years, about all my life that I remember. And then what ended up happening a couple years ago, I think about 3 years ago, is a whole bunch of gunk came out. I felt it, I was pulling it like, and it came out. It was like a mouthful of whatever glop was in there. It was like, it felt like it was there my whole life because I never remember being able to breathe enough. Even when I raced motocross, through my nose. I was a more of a mouth breather because my sinuses were clogged up. What was that stuff? I don't know. Now, I remember years ago when I was on a farm, the veterinarian would pay a visit and inseminate the cows with some premium bull sperm. And they would use a glass tube and it would be kept in liquid nitrogen and all of that. And then when he would vaccinate the herd, he used a swab and stick it up their nose. So 3 years ago when I saw nose swabbing, I remembered the neurons in my memory were retrieving, hey, I remember seeing that years ago on the farm. Get it? I'm not a shallow read. My all my content could be and is being poured over by the artificial intelligence. If GPT-4, 5, or gazillion AI wants to put together classic truth guy stuff, I've got plenty of it. So when I quote somebody like Mark Twain, or I prefer quoting Jesus Christ, the truth about what he had to say, and yet even Mark Twain can have reflections of truth in his quotes, in his writings. And so hearing the Word of God is extremely encouraging to me. It's like the software of my life. So when I'm poring over information, wondering, is that really true, or is that something else? You know, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my car, and I'll show you why. So let's put it in forward here. I'm going to put it next to her, and then when she moves, I can back my car in the pivot position. I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is parking training at the beach. Cars are going to come from behind me. They're going to be coming in from back there, and then they're going to want to grab a spot up here. So what I can do is when she pulls out, I can actually pull my car there. And because I pulled up nice and quickly before the couple came in, I can just follow through. They can see me. And then this vehicle is now on a surveillance camera. It was before too, just one that's far closer. My car smokes a little bit. And you'll have a different view behind me. Or so it is. Let's see, how is that looks pretty good. I think it was coming through okay. It's not that I guess I was going to say I'm not ignoring the comments, but I guess I would say I actually am. It's not that I don't care, it's just that it's too difficult to read it in real-time comment and have a cohesive presentation of what I want to cover. So there's that. Now, one of the things that'll happen is the vehicles that are coming down, leaving this parking ramp, will see the car here. And then when I park on the corner over there, it's like the best spot. Now, Melissa's on her phone, and that's cool. I understand she's got like a phone break, and that gentleman there is one of the workers on the pier. And I've had an opportunity, like I said, to talk to them, and that's all part of this, like an ecosystem of truth. And I'll see people that come from all over, and when they come walking on by here, the children especially will point to the car and go, "Oh, he's a YouTuber." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." They'll come up to me and say, "Are you a YouTuber?" And I'll say, "Yes, I am." And so the 40 million views or so that I have came through a variety of different venues. They're on my channel, many of them. I've shared them there, like PewDiePie and Logan Paul, the BBC, London Guardian, Not Exactly Normal, a lot of different videos that the clip that I'm in and what I'm saying is being heard by millions of people. And then I've got the sun that I captured appearing to be in the clouds that was viewed before the first Flat Earth International Conference series in 2017. That was where I was heard saying, "Do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating?" That was in Raleigh, North Carolina. But the local sun video I shot over Myrtle Beach had been viewed like over 1 million times in the different iterations of that video. People have cut it up. They've used it in their the Facebook groups or YouTube videos. And then I have one that's 2 minutes and 23 seconds long where I shot the sunrise, and it looks like it's coming right, like it's sitting right in the clouds, obviously with clouds behind the sun, and definitely not 93 million miles away. And then people will try to pin me down and say, "Well, exactly how far is it away?" I would say, I don't know. I'll put Job 37 sometimes and Bible.com. That's God's word in over 1,000 or over 2,000 languages for people that want to look into it, want to hear it. So let's see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out and say, you know, I'll put a sticker like there so it's easy for me to show in my videos. And then if I'm parked here, you know, the people walking by will see it, the car coming down the road or the ramp will see it. We just saw them walking by earlier. And then when I ride my motorcycle here, I can almost always park right there, which is really nice. And then I can sit right here. And now, let's see, yeah, to me it looks like they're still a little curled up, but they'll get that water. It'll help them out. From Virginia. I've met people from Germany, Argentina, all over the place. The guys from Argentina, it was funny, they were in their like 40s, and they looked like they were brothers. They looked like they were triplets. And I said, "Oh, from Argentina." I asked them where they were from, because they definitely looked like from a different country. They said Argentina, and I said, "Yeah, I heard Hitler went to Argentina." They said, "Yeah, we met a guy who claimed to be Hitler." Imagine that. I've got an interesting life. I've got an eidetic or photographic memory, whatever God wants me to remember, He'll help me retrieve that whenever He wants me to retrieve that. So rather than my memory or what I work with just being stuck in my head, the Almighty knows all. Not only does He have the ability and give me thought He wants me to consider, He can direct other people to do what they do as it relates to our lives. So, would you like to have a consultant that knows it all and has maybe, rather than saying your best interest in heart, what if he has his best interest in heart for all of humanity? That's Max walking there. That's the puppy. Now the spotter is going out there. Good morning. To help people to not pull out in front of him, because if he had to slam on brakes, that's probably about $15,000 worth of wood they don't want to go falling. He doesn't. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I guess he wanted him to go. I'll just let him do his thing. So the reason why I was going for the stop is just because, well, here we've got someone that's not really paying attention so good. I guess everybody's got a different way of doing it. I've been a spotter before. I don't want to upset the guy. He's got his thing going on and that. Anyway, in here. So yeah, it'll illustrate something. I don't think there was any bad vibe between us. I believe he understood that I had the best of intentions. He just wanted to do it different. And I'm not the spotter. It's not really my job. However, I wanted to help. So sometimes when people do something and we realize they're trying to help, it seems different than if we know they're wanting to bug us or harm us or do something wrong or for the wrong reason. Anyway, I had a happening the other day where somebody pulled my chairs up away from the ocean. They thought they were too close. I was taking my stuff out to the ocean, and I knew the tide was going out, and a wave did get the bottom of my chairs wet, but I expected them to, and I was okay with that. I knew they had, or I believe that they had my best. They wanted to help me. And so I didn't think, what do you think, I'm stupid or something? It was more of, I recognized they were wanting to help, and that was a nice thing. Kind of like if somebody has broccoli in their tooth and at a party and people are just ignoring it. I would want to know if I had broccoli in my teeth or if I was believing something that was not true. Therein lies one of the problems, is that quite often there's pride that's involved in alerting somebody to a false belief. Pride is a powerful catalyst for deception. So there's a sea of deception all around us. Will we be recognizing it as deception? In my research library, because I'm exposing the lies, they're there too. I'm just giving you what I believe to be the answers, the most important truth, and then the truth about everything that I've found out that I can put together in a manner that will give people kind of a wake-up call. Many of us came to an understanding that things were not as we thought or as they appear because of seeing, let's say, a YouTube video or a Facebook post that had a video in it or a meme. Sometimes memes can change the way that we see reality when it engages our heart and our mind. Or those cute little animal videos where somebody rescues a dog or a deer or a koala, or you see, so like when we had wildfires in Australia, and there was, I cried the first time I saw it. Uh, a koala drinking a bottle of water out of the hand of a firefighter. And he was all singed up, he was burned. And, uh, and then for me to understand that there's not only weather modification that's leading to the incineration of a lot of our world, the wildfires are the arsonists quite often are the people that are in power, are in control. So there can be directed energy weapons to lead to that. There's evidence of that. Artificial intelligence has access to much of that. And there can be an unwise use of a campfire, or yeah, there can be a campfire and directed energy weapons or a flare gun. Out in California in Paradise, there was evidence of high-powered technology being used to incinerate that community. And there's proof of it in the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars research library, which includes the links in the comments. Some of the links in the comments go to channels that have been taken down, or .coms that have been taken down. One of the reasons why I put my name there is so that people can run my name and see it. I just thought I would show you that I've seen a lot more people having difficulty walking. And as people age, like my dad did, he was on like over 13 medications right before he died. They adjusted his meds. Like I said, he was at a nursing home. He didn't have long-term care insurance. And then they adjusted his meds, and then he died shortly after he ran out of money and property to liquidate. He didn't have the long-term care insurance. I found out that that was actually quite a thing, that the end-of-life care was really expensive, and it was intentional, and medications can have interactions that are very unhealthy to our physiology. So, the medical industrial complex in worldwide genocide. That's what I'm exposing. The marketing of madness. You can see the documentary talking about the putrefaction of humanity with chemicals. Addictive drugs are drugs that make addiction worse, like I told you about earlier. I prefer just water in my water. I don't want fluoride or Aunt Millie's oxycodone or whoever is peeing what out. And then there's a recirculation of biosolids, like the health ranger Mike Adams did. He showed how they're putting, I've actually seen it myself, biosludge going on farm fields, and they're putting it in the crops, and they're putting chemicals in genetically modified crops that lead to cancer-causing inhumanity, because according to them, we've got too many people using too much stuff. And I would say what we have are too many selfish, evil individuals that are poisoning and culling the human herd. We would be, and you know what? Their days are numbered. Here they come. So like that looks like a couple of golfers. we'll see them. They'll have different vehicles, and they'll have the golf clubs. That looks like the wives to the husbands that just pulled out, perhaps. They're from Michigan, the ladies that just pulled out. So even if I'm sitting here and the people are driving by, I'll wave to them or walking by. And I'm here to help. That's why I do this. I want people to make an informed choice so that they can be aware of more of what's going on. So like I mentioned earlier, looks like my friend Brandon just pulled in. He does a surf camp. He's got a surf dog named Coco. He'll put out there, but he'll teach young kids, and people of all ages, to surf out there at the beach. And they'll see me out there. I'll talk to some of them. I'm here to make a difference. The truth makes a difference. So people can be aware, like I said, to have prudent, practical provisions on hand. And it was unfortunate, so I thought, that I needed to empty out my freezer refrigerator because things thawed. And I don't want to, what would be worse than throwing the meat away is, or the other food that was in there too, is eating it and getting sick from it. Dehydration. So the refrigerator, like I said, the light worked in it and it was making the running sound. And what I had been doing, because I was low on room, oh, that was George. That's George that came up in the van. But I still have the other friend that does the surf lessons. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that on the food that I threw away, there might have been something that I shouldn't have in me. And so it was, have you heard the saying, don't cry over spilled milk? It's like, well, I just cleaned it up. I knew I needed to clean that up with baking soda and paper towel and getting it out of there. And the reason why I didn't notice it right away, I was taking my coconut, I'll show you, it's worth an illustration. Back when I was a boy, we used to use Cool Whip containers. Let's see. Cool Whip containers to put leftovers in. And since I use coconut oil, I have plenty of these, okay? And what I'll do is I'll liquefy my fruits and vegetables and seeds like chia seed, evens out the blood sugar, absorbs the healthy nutrients that are in the food. But this has a spin-on wide mouth lid, and I've got a lot of these, and I've filled them with healthy food that I'll liquefy later. Well, my story was I had several of these that I was moving from the freezer to the refrigerator because I didn't have enough room for all of them to be in the freezer at once. I got a deal on some organic spinach. So I added it to my inventory, and I needed to keep it from thawing. I have a friend who was nice enough, generous enough to spend $100 to give me a freezer, a small freezer that's working great, by the way. Now new, it's over $300, and it was like new. And when I went to pick it up from Myrtle Beach, I met Donnie, and he and his business associate work on prepping as well as real estate development, home construction, and all of that. When I was sitting waiting to meet him there to pick up the freezer that I put in the back of the Truthmobile, a female robin landed on the red logo of the Truthmobile. It was attracted to the bright red. So a lot of people are. That, like, There's the woman in red metaphor of desire in the Matrix, not just sexual desire, but the desire for things, for stuff, for significance and acceptance, all of that. I have the allegorical and philosophical discussion of our reality, as well as powerful documentaries exposing the truth about all of that. And I would say the Word of God, the Bible, it always has been relevant. It's just now that we can see we're reaching the end, apparently, of this realm's operation. We had a great flood in the days of Noah. In my research library, I've got the Ron Wyatt archaeological discovery of the Noah's Ark in the mountains of Ararat. And near the Dead Sea, he also discovered Sodom and Gomorrah, the evidence of all of that. It's in my playlist. His channel is featured in my playlist. So you can look at all the TED Talks and all the content creators, some of which have paid the price of being killed to expose the truth about what they shared. You can see all the different stories of all the different people. If you believe I've missed something, like something I should know about, you could give me a call. You could send me a link. You could put it in a comment, however you would want to do that. Heck, if you've got something you want to just meet me on the beach, I might be out there. I could walk out there right now. In fact, let's just go ahead and see what it looks like out there right now. I always like to make sure I've got my keys when I step away from the car. So now I can see the flag has got the wind coming from the southeast. But I feel the wind coming from my back right now. So out there, the wind is coming towards us. And from here, the wind is coming this way. And it's colliding right somewhere in the mid-pier. And some of the air turbulence around the buildings is what leads to the way that this works out here. So I definitely want to steer clear from the equipment. Wouldn't want to be anywhere around there right now. Not that I'm afraid of it. I don't want them yelling at me, or I don't necessarily want to have them on screen like that. They may not want to be on. Not everybody wants to be on the camera. I don't mind. So now the setting here looks a lot different. I had a video I shot. It's 120 minutes long, just the other day. Oh, so now the truck is officially unloaded. It's all clear. All right, so I want to thank you all for tuning in, for liking, sharing, calling me. What I wanted to mention too about the Truthmobile, although it goes to and from the beach okay, and I actually have a marginal air conditioner, it runs on low, it's got electrical problems. Quite often it'll shut off like about a half an hour or so after I start it, if I don't give it time to cool off. And I've taken it to some really good mechanical shops. It's just that I had a wiring meltdown, and even though it's a 1994, there's a quite a bit of computer electronics in there, and it's very difficult to find out what component warms up or malfunctions. Sometimes it works better than others. I say all that to say, if you wanted to help me, I'm going to be developing a GoFundMe. I've got a Venmo on my Linktree. People can send if they want to help me out. My previous careers have allowed me to do this. God has provided in some very special ways, and I'm grateful for that. So, all that being said, I've got a next door neighbor that has what I think might be the next Truthmobile. For example, it's a Kia Optima, and it's a 2014. But like I mentioned, I ordered the Tesla Cybertruck. I'm featuring alternative propulsion systems, self-generating generators that could be on electric vehicles. So I know there's talk of, oh, we don't have enough electricity. We've got the means to create plenty of electricity with or without wind or sun. There's 0-point energy. The inventors and discoverers of this technology have, in some cases, been silenced by killing them. So I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. I'm not going to be silenced by a generous gift either, a zero-interest loan or a lump sum of money to shut up and just enjoy my life. I enjoy my life knowing and exposing the truth about everything. Being motivated by the desire to please God makes me less easy to corrupt or influence by the enemy of my soul. And I believe that of humanity. I have humanity's well-being, actually the desire to do what I'm created to do. It gets kind of complicated because we're fixing to see a lot of death and destruction worldwide. You can read or listen to the book of Revelation. I've got a digital audio Bible merged with the beauty of creation. One of the videos is almost 12 hours long, from the Gospel of John to the book of Revelation. And it takes about 17 hours to hear the entire New Testament from Matthew to Revelation, and less than 77 hours to listen to from Genesis to Revelation, including adding the book of Enoch. Some don't like it. I believe it's biblical. I haven't found anything that disagrees with the account in the Bible, and Jesus and Jude both spoke very highly of Enoch. You can check that out if you care to. So this is Robert Forsch with Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. It's an important document. It's an important reality. Hey, I'm going to flip this around, show you real quick. So the tide has gone out quite a bit, and it'll keep on doing that, and then it'll come back in. We've got a diurnal tide here, high and low tide twice a day. So that's kind of how that works. It works well. How do the tides work? They work great. How do the sun, moon, and stars work? Just the way the Bible says. How about that? So the truth about everything matters, especially the most important reality. And I'm going to leave you with, where will you spend forever and why? I believe God, the Most High, determines that. Thank you so much for your public and private encouragement. This is Robert Forsch with the truth about everything.